7. In Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7, it says, the rich rules over the who? The poor. And the borrower is what? Slave of who? Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I see the word slave, I don't think, oh boy. Now, I studied in preparation for this sermon. I looked at 32 different translations in regard to this verse. 32. You say, Pastor, are you making that number up? No, I looked at 32 different translations. And in every single translation of these 32 translations, this translation either had slave or servant. Every one of them. Debt is bondage. What a child of God should be is a slave to Christ. But we are slowly becoming a slave to the lender. Dave Ramsey. You're going to hear that a little bit. Dave Ramsey says the FICO score is the biggest sham in the history of mankind. The FICO score is the biggest sham in the history of mankind. You know why you want a good credit score? Where you can borrow money. Do you know why you want to have a good credit score? Where you can borrow money. Do you know why you want to have a good credit score? Where you can borrow money. A good credit score borrows money. A good credit score borrows money. And that cycle goes on and on and on. But when we're borrowing, often we are not saving. Let me give you a real life analogy. When you borrow $1,000 at 12% interest right now, right? Over a year, do you know how much you're going to pay off on that $1,000 loan at 12% interest? $1,120. At 12%, it's $120 in interest. If you would have invested that $1,000 at 6%, and you can easily get a 6% return on your money right now, you would have gained $60. Now, somebody would say, well, if I borrow, I spend an extra $120, and if I would invest it, I would have gotten $60. So how much did I lose? And some people would say, well, you take this $60 from the $120, and I would have just lost $60, and that's not the truth at all. You lost $180. You lost what you borrowed, plus you lost what you could have earned. And we're living in a society since 1958 when the first credit card was developed. They were widely rejected. Why? For thousands of years, people lived without them. Thousands of years, people lived with saving. People lived with, if you couldn't pay for it, you don't buy it. We're not in that society anymore, are we? The world system has crept into the church, and even the church defends bondage. It wasn't until the 70s that credit cards became the norm. I would clearly say this, looking back over my life, and I would say if you were honest, maybe looking back at your life, debt is often the mask for indulgences. Debt is often the mask for indulgences. Let me explain.